chose Galen because of its strong reputation.
Great scholarships.
I came because I can take all my classes online.
Because Galen University opens doors to the outside world.
Their course offering in tourism.
It gives me more opportunity to become who I want to be.
If you want to connect with your inner champion to make the world a better place, then Galen is right for you.
Did you know that your Sagicor advisor can help you plan how to make your golden years your best years? Call a Sagicor agent today.
I had a really good time tonight.
So did I.
Life moves fast. Be prepared with Sagicor. Learn more at sagicorlife.com.
Good morning and welcome to Morning Matters. Today's guest is a father, a multidisciplinary artist, a humanitarian, an activist, championing his culture, his history, people of color, immigrants, and marginalized people. Cadex, as he is known, grew up less than a mile from San Antonio Mayan Temple near Benquevejo del Carmen. Cadex was inspired to become an artist by the work of sculptors and artists on display at San Antonio. As a young artist in Belize, he had limited resources and had to take into consideration the impact his materials had on the environment. Therefore, he began applying minimalism principles to his work. He migrated to the United States and got a bachelor's in communication design from the College of Visual Arts in St. Paul's, Minnesota. He then began teaching traditional and digital photography, graphics design, video production, illusion, as well as non-traditional art making and crafts. Currently, he's a behavioral specialist at St. Paul's Public Schools. Over the last few months, he has been using his social media platform to bring awareness to humanitarian, social, and environmental injustices. He recently gained a lot of attention by being one of the artists that created the George Floyd's Memorial in Minneapolis, Minnesota. Cadex, good morning and welcome.
Thank you for having me.
It is definitely my pleasure. Let's jump right into the meat of the matter. You became world famous when you participated in the creation of the mural for George Floyd. Who were all the artists and where were they from?
So the artists were Zena Goldman, Greta McLean, Nico Alexander, Maria Javier, and Pablo Hernandez. Those were the main artists that worked on the mural, but we had countless of community members that came and added, a little bit of paint or a lot of paint to the piece. And it was a community effort. A lot of folks that are watching us paint would come and ask, "Hey, can we paint?" And we would just give them a brush, and they added, what they felt they needed to before passing the brush to somebody else.
How did the idea come about?
That's a good question. When I was asked to, make or design the mural, it was something that I already had in my heart. It wasn't what came out, but I've had these feelings as an artist inside of me, and it was, it stemmed from a place of love and a place of caring and a place of wanting to honor George Floyd, and it just sort of flowed out of me. But a lot of that had to do with, looking and all of this violence that had happened prior to, people of color in this country. And so it was something that I really didn't have to consider. It was always in the back of my mind.
I understand the theme, and shortly I will ask you to describe it. But when you thought of doing something to honor George Floyd, was this the first thought that came to your mind, or the first idea of a painting, or did you have various ideas and then you eventually chose this one?
Right. There were some different iterations of the idea. ideas, different focal points, different typographical treatment of his name, different placement of his community, supporting him and, saying his name. Eventually, the idea started to come together, and I wanted him to be the main focus. I wanted there to be, I wanted it to be colorful, and the colors all representing hope and reflection and light. And so, yes, in the process of creating the actual final design, there were definitely a lot of different iterations of it.
On the screen, we have this painting. Can you kindly describe it in more details for us?
Yes, so blue represents, obviously, is the color of the sky. It represents hope, openness, freedom. The yellows, as you can see, especially in the letters, also represent the idea that it's a hopeful color as well, and it represents life. Everything yellows. The sun is life, and the typographical treatment of his word, George Floyd. Inside the word are protesters, people demonstrating and demanding, and it's composed of people of all different types, so families, young, old, different shapes and sizes. And then you have the sunflower, and one of the meanings behind the sunflower. So when someone gives you a sunflower, what they're saying is they are loyal and they wish you long life. That's one of the meanings behind a sunflower, as many flowers have meanings behind them, right? So I wanted to use that flower because I thought about Floyd and I thought, I'm loyal to him. I'm loyal to the cause of Black Lives Matter. And longevity in that I wanted people to remember his name. And that was what was represented by the flower. Inside the flower, you have names of other Black people who have been killed by police violence and brutality over the years. And I also wanted to make that connection that he was not the first person that this has happened to. And I wanted the viewer that were there to make that connection too. That this was not a separate incident, that this is not separate from the past, from the history of police violence. So all of that, and then you also have the beautiful portrait of George Floyd as well. His portrait is surrounded by a thick contour line of yellows and represents his spirit going onto his name, and then his name reaching out to his community. And the petals of the sunflower as well, they're painted in a way very loosely, but it represents fire and energy, and that also is reaching out to the community.
I see you have the words in there, I can breathe now. Expand, please, or expound.
Okay. So at the top of the mural, it says, say their names. At the bottom, it says, I can breathe now. And that wasn't a decision made by us, by any of the muralists. We asked the community what they thought, because we felt that it wasn't our place to put words in his mouth. And after speaking to the community, the consensus was that I can breathe now would be the appropriate word to put. As well as we did not paint the word I can breathe now. One of the painters penciled it in, and then a community member came and actually painted the words I can breathe now. So we had nothing to do with that specific part of the mural.
We have to say job well done, so let's start by saying job well done. When you were painting this mural, it must have been very, tense, considering protest was going on. What was that like for you and the others?
It was a day full of emotions, full of adrenaline, blurry. There's a lot of things happening. The protesters were peaceful, but they were demanding change. They were expressing themselves. And community members would come by and thank us and offer us, food, water, whatever you need. And the painters and the people who were there working and helping us out, we were just in that moment. We weren't really thinking about ourselves at all, and we just wanted to do this painting, complete it, and then sort of remove ourselves from it.
Was there any tear gas out there at the time? Or do you have any experience with tear gas while you were out there?
I went out. I went out and protested on Tuesday and Wednesday night. I'm also a photographer, and I photographed some different demonstrations and protests in Minnesota. And the first night I went out there with my camera, and then I decided not to use it because I thought that either I'm an observer or I'm a participant, and I made the choice to be a participant instead. So I put my camera away and I just joined the crowd, shouting his name and, demanding justice. And then I came out Wednesday in the early afternoon and joined the protesters again. And in the side of town where I was with the group of protesters, it was relatively peaceful. I was not involved in the sort of the other demonstrations that happened after. So after I came back on Wednesday night, I received a message from one of the other painters, Zena Goldman, and she asked me to join her, paint a mural and to help her design it. So I went ahead and I designed the concept for it and showed up Thursday morning at 7:00 in the morning and started painting.
Well, great. You said we have been on fire for 500 years. That were not started by us. It was started by white supremacists who have had their knees on our necks for 500 years. Could you please explain what you mean by all this?
Yeah, so that statement was based off of our own history as Belizeans, as indigenous people of that land ever since Columbus, I'm not going to say discovered because he did not discover America. We were already there. It was discovered by us, not Columbus. So that's one of the things that we also have to teach our children and our future generations in our schools and our educational system is that Columbus does not discover us. We're already there from the beginning. And it has been 500 years of suffering for our people, through their just complete takeover of our land and our resources by the Spanish, and then dividing our land between the Spanish and the English, and then deciding where the border should be. And then the British using our resources for them to build ships so they can keep us oppressed. And then us putting those ships on the Belizean flag and thanking them for doing so. And so that's the kind of oppression that I've been dealing. It's subtle, but it's there. And you need to look because every day, there's a reminder everywhere in our country that we as a people have been oppressed by the colonialist system and the structures that were put there to keep us down.
The 4 policemen have been charged with murder. Has this satisfied the protesters? And if not, what is the end goal of the protesters? Do you believe that the form of protest that has been exhibited is effective?
They paid attention. People are listening. Yes.
You believe that art can be a tool to exact positive change, as well as inspire, to create and make a difference in our locals, as well as our global community?
Yes, absolutely. I do believe that any creatives out there, you know, whatever it is that you do, paint, dance, poetry, writing, actors, actresses, I think that you have an incredibly strong voice, stronger than you believe. I think that you use that voice for good. You know, you can bring positive change. I believe that you use your voice to raise awareness. And even if, you know, one or two people see it, you're doing good, and you got to keep doing that work. You know, you got to keep the fight. You got to keep progressing on your own skills so that people pay attention, or else, you know, things are gonna stay the same the way they've always been, and we're not gonna see much change. So all the creatives in the world, all the creatives from Belize, you know, if you see injustice, you need to call it out. You need to shout it out. You need to stand up for the people who are being oppressed, your neighbors, your friends, the people in your community that you know, you have to stand up for them too, and let the system know that we have to be treated with dignity and respect.
You know, I understand your cause, but I think a lot of people that don't know you will feel that you are a new artist. You're an artist that you've been around for a very long time. You've put work out there for a very long time. On the screen, we have an image of Martin Luther King. Can you tell us a little bit about that image?
A lot of my work has been to, I do a lot of portraits of people who have inspired me, you know, to use art as a tool for change. And of course, throughout our history, we have been exposed to great leaders like Martin Luther King and Malcolm X, and all the leaders from, you know, the Black Lives Movement. And I created the series Salt and Paper, and I also created a series of Belizeans that I've looked up to, Z. Edgel, George Price, to name a few. And those have been people also that have inspired me as a Belizean and given me great pride for what they've done for our people and our country. And I put them up there alongside MLK, you know, because to me they are just as notable and powerful in what they did for our people as well.
I noticed your image. I've enjoyed all of them, but then I saw that you did Adele Ramos. And a lot of people may not know the depth of Adele Ramos. Why did you choose Adele Ramos?
First of all, she's a Belizean poet. She writes amazing work, amazing poetry that's deep and incredibly touching. Also, you know, she's a Belizean of Garifuna descent. And also, you know, as a Belizean, I look at all my people as Belizeans, you know. I don't differentiate. If you're out there doing good, you know, you're a Belizean, yes, I will elevate you. I will put you up there. I'll make portraits of you. And that's why she's there.
Tell us about the material that you used for this painting.
For the Adele Ramos?
Yes.
Yes, that is also salt and paper. So it's just a black piece of paper, and I pour salt on top of it to create the portrait, and I move salt around with different tools that I created for this specific task.
Cadex, outstanding. I mean, when you look at that, you could have never guessed. But now that you've said that, it makes it even more interesting. What we're going to take a break. And when we come back, we will learn a little bit about Cadex, where he grew up, how he grew up, and how he ended up where he is today. We're going to take a break and be back.
Me and my Marie shops in Lake.
Me and my Marie Sharp in Indiana.
I'm in Rhonda Beach, California with my Marie Sharp.
Me and my Marie Shops in Kabul, Afghanistan.
Me and my Marie Shop that are Hertfordshire, England.
Me and my Marie Sharps in Taipei, Taiwan.
Marie Sharp, world-class products produced in Belize.
New Buildings Limited is the company of choice when it comes to design, fabricating and erection of wide-span metal buildings in Belize. At New Buildings, we have a team of well-trained professionals that can produce the most innovative and durable metal structures. Be it domestic or industrial buildings, we can get it done for you. We have put together some of the most outstanding metal structures in the country. We also do estimates and consulting. Visit New Buildings in Spanish Lookout or give them a call at 631-8723 or 610-5185. New Buildings Limited, the experts when it comes to metal structures in Belize.
At WestTrack Belize City, we are looking to help you save both your time and money. We've also improved our stock levels to ensure we have everything you might need for your automotive or agricultural needs. Additionally, WestTrack has added heavy-duty and industrial parts to keep your trucks and equipment running. At WestTrack Belize City, we understand that your time is important, so we want to bring our services to you at your convenience. Now you can simply send us a message on WhatsApp or Facebook and we will be right there to help with any questions you may have.
Did you know that it's best to keep the lumber stored in a dry place?
At KT Enterprises, all our wood is stored in an enclosed space to provide our clients with the highest quality.
We allow you to personally select your lumber if you choose, and we deliver countrywide.
Be it deck board, beams, and imported hardwoods such as red oak and white ash. At KT Enterprises, we provide you with the highest grade in treated pine, construction grade plywood, and imported hardwood, delivered to your door.
We continue to build Belize by reforesting its pine forest.
Visit us today at 2.3 miles Iguana Creek Road or give us a call at 671-0114 or 672-0114.
Here at Coop Sheet Metal, we believe our job is very essential in serving our customers. And that is just one reason why visiting us is an experience to be remembered.
Here at Coop Sheet Metal, we have a reliable fleet of trucks. We specialize in countrywide delivery of all our material.
Coop Sheet Metal is a family business that was started by my grandfather, who even had many of his machines hand-built decades ago to make our products the most reliable in Belize. Come visit us at our new facility on Iguana Creek Road, just past the Belize River leading to Spanish Lookout.
I choose Happy Cow cheese because of its perfect portion sizes, and I can travel with it.
Because it's nice and soft and creamy, and it goes smooth on your bread.
I choose Happy Cow cheese because I eat it with my beans. I eat it with my fried jack. And you know why? Because it's nice.
Most of all, when you're on the plane, you know they only give you some crackers and you could just take one out and enjoy it with Happy Cow cheese.
I'm Miss Baker and I choose Happy Cow cheese because it goes well with all the stuff I bake.
Happy Cow cheese. Look for it in a store near you. Distributed in Belize exclusively by Emilio Ahmad and Sons Limited.
It's me, your Uncle Cooper, and this is a Cooper tire. Great tire. Now, it's not gonna cook you a pot roast, but it will stop when you hit the brakes. And these truck tires can stop on average 10 feet shorter than other tires on a wet road. See, the trick is in the grip, and these tires grip like my handshake. Look, I'm your uncle. I love you. I want you to stop when you need to. Doesn't matter if it's for a red light or a duckling. So go with the Coopers. Cooper! And never start something you can't stop.
Cadex, welcome back. In this segment, I want to talk a little bit about the boy that grew up in Benke. Tell us a little bit about what that was like for you.
Well, Benke Viejo is one of the most beautiful towns that, you know, and this is not to diminish any other town or city in my beautiful country. Belize is, you know, the jewel of the Caribbean, as you all know. But that's my hometown. That's where all my closest and most profound relationships were made. I grew up without many advantages, you know, as most of us grew up in Belize. And just a regular kid trying to figure out life. And I've always had art as part of a way for me to deal with the adversity in my life, and it's always been part of the way I've had to deal with different things, stress and anger and depression and solitude. And but growing up in Benque and knowing all the streets, we're a small community where everyone sort of knew everyone. I grew up in a time where if I was misbehaving, that the neighbor down the street was going to correct me and let my mom know that she did. And my mom would say, yes, thank you for doing that, right? So I grew up, and seeing, regular men, regular women, and young people from Benque Viejo and San Ignacio, because I did live about 3 to 4 years in San Ignacio or Cayo. But all of that has inspired me, and it has never left who I am, from, the cool mornings to the hot middays, and then those beautiful sunsets, and, watching the fire hearts billing out smoke and smelling all that great food, and visiting my grandma, visiting my aunts and uncles. It was to me sort of like my town was my family, and they were looking after me, and that has always stuck with me.
You said that art helped you to deal with many things, including depression and anger. Do you care to talk a little bit about those challenges?
Sure. And one of the things that I grew up with is that as Belizeans, we're tough people, right? And we don't like to admit that we have problems. And that's one of the things I think that affected me growing up, is not being able to have access to mental health. And trying to figure it out on your own is incredibly dangerous because you don't know what it is exactly is happening in your mind, and especially when dealing with tough situations. My mother was diagnosed with cancer when I was about 14 years old. And she lived about 5 to 6 years with the disease. And that affected me in such profound ways. And I didn't know how to deal with it. And many times I resorted to, doing things that were not viewed as, that the police would beat me up for, let's just say. And not having any of that support anywhere, for someone to come and say, hey, you know what, something is happening. And this is why I think really affected me as a person. I hope that today we have more access to mental health in our country. Hopefully, we have organizations in place to offer free help to youth, to adults, young men and women, and grown-ups, because we have to start thinking about that aspect of our society, and also, that have to start accepting that we do need help, that there is help out there, and we have to seek it.
I don't want to stay there, but I'll stay there for a little bit because I see the value in it. When did you recognize that it was more than something just trivial?
It was hindsight, it didn't happen then. It happened here when I started realizing, looking back and seeing all the things that I personally went through, that if only I could have gone to someone and said, hey, this is happening to me. Not only that, but if only I had the courage too, because there might have been some people that could have helped, but, dealing with mental health issues, we're afraid to seek help, and we need the courage as individuals to seek that help. And it wasn't until many, many years later that I start reflecting on my life and, and all these other things, that I realized that I think a lot of things would have gone differently and for the better if there were those supports, that support system in place.
All right. A lot of your art deal with mental health. Do you think that art can help? On the screen we have an octopus. Tell us about that piece of work.
Yes, I'm getting some messages here. Okay. Yeah, so the octopus is basically a symbol for the brain, and it's holding a weed, an American weed. It's this plant that grows that produces all of these little sort of like feathers that blow into the wind. Dandelion, it's called. And so, visually that represents the brain and how it can manipulate and move around and cause you to sort of think and reach out for things that are not there, and it comes in different ways. And the dandelion is there to represent, that you as a person have this life inside of you, and you can balance. You can reach a balance to sort of bring light to that darkness and that sort of fear. And the octopus, the tentacles are coming out from the darkness up to the dandelion, and it's sort of holding it too, right? Because mental illness is a dual thing. It's us fighting all of these ideas and emotions that we have to deal with when we're dealing with mental illness.
Great. As a Belizean, we live in a melting pot where if you turn around, somebody's a different race. Usually when Belizeans get to the States, even at immigration, you have to choose a race. What was that experience like for you, and what did you choose?
Yes, that's a very shocking introduction to America, right? You have to choose. And on the documents, it doesn't say Belizean, right? Because that's all my life. That's how I've always recognized. That's who I am. I am a Belizean, right? Yes. So I identify in that sheet as a Latino or / Hispanic, because that's what it has on it. And the other options are white, African American, Native American, and Eskimo, I believe, is one of the options. If I remember right, I might have that last part wrong. But you do have to select. However, that document does not in any way express the layers and complicated history that we have ethnically and racially in Belize. I'm not Latino, just Latino. I'm also indigenous. I'm also Spanish. I'm also Black. And so all of those cultures are inside of me, but there's no specific name for that, And another thing, we identify as mestizo in Belize. And mestizo is a term created by Spanish colonialists to label us, right? And so that's not even our term either, right? It's not something that we came up with to identify ourselves. So there again is another example of sort of colonialist systems sort of coming through up through today's today's history.
Earlier you spoke about your mom and her leaving early. Tell us a little bit about your memories of her and then of your father.
Oh my goodness. My mom was a beautiful woman. She was a fighter. She was fire, she was energy. She had passion, and there was nothing that would ever stop her from protecting her family and defending her family and providing for her family. She was the loveliest person I've ever known, and the reason why I do all of this because she gave me some of the best advice in my life, and she was the first one to trust me and the first one to believe in the art that I create. The first drawings and paintings that I ever did, she was my first viewer and my first fan, and she was the one who always pushed me, even though at times there were people who would say, art is not ever going to pay, don't do art, it's not what you're supposed to do something else, be a doctor, be a lawyer. And that because that's what we encourage a lot of our kids to be in Belize, right? But no, she said, this is what you like to do. This is what you do. I want you to do it. Keep doing it. Don't ever stop. And it was that kind of encouragement that kept me going. My father, another beautiful man, he passed away many years ago as well. He was a tough guy, you know. He was a tough Latino, involved in politics. He was passionate about his political party, but he's also passionate about his family, and he loved us as well. And I'll always remember him as my personal hero.
Okay, how did you end up in Minnesota?
I met my wife in Belize. Her name is Karen, and she was a volunteer teacher at Mount Carmel High School. You know, she was a teacher and a local. She was walking around town, and I was, you know, an upstart boy, and you know, we became friends, and and I told her that I wanted to study art, and that was my passion. And she said, "Well, why don't you, you know, visit the U.S. and try your luck there?" Because there was no art offerings in Belize, and even if there were, I don't think I could afford it because it wasn't I wasn't in the economic level to attend higher education after high school. And that's something else I think that we have to talk about as a country, as a people, is how do we provide education for students and individuals who want to continue learning, you know, and usually it stops at high school because you can't afford it, and that's a shame. So I came to the United States to visit, check out some schools. And I found this amazing College of Visual Arts in St. Paul, Minnesota. And I started my education as an artist there. And I graduated with a communication design degree, and I minored in photography. And then I continued to teach art for about 13 years after that.
When did you first realize that you wanted to be an artist, and did you ever think that you would have a degree as an artist?
I actually started drawing before I started writing, you know. And my first experiences of ever having a pencil in my hand was me drawing stick figures and little soldiers and, you know, kid drawings of little horses and little animals. And I remember going to the Benque Viejo library on Saturday mornings, one, because it was the coolest place you could go to because it was so hot outside, and two, because they had so many books. And I remember just going through National Geographic after National Geographic, all of the Richard Scarry's children's books, just looking at all those characters and being fascinated by it. I remember that they had one comic book, the Incredible Hulk, that was there, just the one, and I checked it out and I never returned it. So sorry. Miss Luna was the library person there, and I took that book and I never returned it. So sorry everyone who missed out on the Incredible Hulk, but I was so fascinated by the art, and I used it a lot to practice and to just understand how, you know, foreshortening and depth and action worked. And so yeah, and then I moved on after that. I received a scholarship to attend a workshop, a summer workshop with Maestro Mike Mauricio, who is an amazing artist from Benque Viejo as well. And he was sort of the first art teacher, again, who believed in me and saw my potential and just encouraged me and gave me so much good advice about art and about, you know, the importance of it. So big thanks to Mr. Mike Mauricio. He was one of my first art teachers, and, you know, I always remember him dearly, and I always hold him in the highest regards.
Well, finally now they know where the book went. On the screen we have a painting of Jacqueline Cal Makin. Tell us a little about who she is and why did you choose to paint her?
So Jacqueline Cal was a young immigrant who died in immigration detention in the United States, along with some other young immigrants. And I wanted to bring awareness to this because, you know, it happened and no one was saying anything. And I'm like, look, there's people dying right now in ICE detention centers, little kids, you know, who are traveling with their families to find a better life, to get a better chance. And I thought it was important for me to paint her in a noble way, you know, to honor her life, and to honor her struggle with her family as well, to make a better life for themselves.
On that note, we're going to take a break and be back.
It's me, your Uncle Cooper, and this is a Cooper tire. Great tire. Now, it's not gonna cook you a pot roast, but it will stop when you hit the brakes. And these truck tires can stop on average 10 feet shorter than other tires on a wet road. See, the trick is in the grip, and these tires grip like my handshake. Look, I'm your uncle. I love you. I want you to stop when you need to. Doesn't matter if it's for a red light or a duckling. So go with the Coopers. Cooper! And never start something you can't stop.
I chose Galen because of its strong reputation, great scholarships.
I came because I can take all my classes online.
Because Galen University opens doors to the outside world.
Their course offering in tourism.
It gives me more opportunity to become who I want to be.
If you want to connect with your inner champion to make the world a better place, then Galen is right for you.
I choose Happy Cow cheese because of its perfect portion sizes, and I can travel with it.
Because it's nice and soft and creamy, and it goes smooth on your bread.
I choose Happy Cow cheese because I eat it with my beans. I eat it with my fried jack. And you know why? Because it's nice.
Most of all, when you're on the plane, you know they only give you some crackers, and you could just take one out and enjoy it with Happy Cow cheese.
I'm Miss Baker, and I choose Happy Cow cheese because it goes well with all the stuff I bake.
Happy Cow cheese. Look for it in a store near you. Distributed in Belize exclusively by Emilio Ahmad and Sons Limited.
Me and my Marie shops in Lake.
Me and my Marie Sharp in Indiana.
I'm in Rhonda Beach, California with my Marie Sharp.
Me and my Marie shops in Kabul, Afghanistan.
Me and my Marie shop that are Hertfordshire, England.
Me and my Marie Sharps in Taipei, Taiwan.
Marie Sharp. World-class products produced in Belize.
Did you know that it's best to keep the lumber stored in a dry place?
At KT Enterprises, all our wood is stored in an enclosed space to provide our clients with the highest quality.
We allow you to personally select your lumber if you choose, and we deliver countrywide.
Be it deck board, beams, and imported hardwoods such as red oak and white ash. At KT Enterprises, we provide you with the highest grade in treated pine, construction grade plywood, and imported hardwood, delivered to your door.
We continue to build Belize by reforesting its pine forest.
Visit us today at 2.3 miles Iguana Creek Road, or give us a call at 671-0114 or 672-0114.
At NextGen, we work for you. Because despite you not being able to be together, we can keep you connected, united, talking to each other, seeing each other, communicating with each other. Stay connected with NextGen. NextGen, powered by Central TV and Internet.
New Buildings Limited is the company of choice when it comes to design, fabricating, and erection of wide-span metal buildings in Belize. At New Buildings, we have a team of well-trained professionals that can produce the most innovative and durable metal structures. Be it domestic or industrial buildings, we can get it done for you. We have put together some of the most outstanding metal structures in the country. We also do estimates and consulting. Visit New Buildings in Spanish Lookout or give them a call at 631-8723 or 610-5185. New Buildings Limited, the experts when it comes to metal structures in Belize.
It's me, your Uncle Cooper, and this is a Cooper tire. Great tire. Now, it's not gonna cook you a pot roast, but it will stop when you hit the brakes. And these truck tires can stop on average 10 feet shorter than other tires on a wet road. See, the trick is in the grip, and these tires grip like my handshake. Look, I'm your uncle. I love you. I want you to stop when you need to. Doesn't matter if it's for a red light or a duckling. So go with the Coopers. Cooper! And never start something you can't stop.
Welcome back to the third and final segment of Morning Matters. Cadex in with us this morning. Cadex, I say thank you for taking the time to share with us and for allowing us to learn a little bit more about you. As a multidisciplinary artist, you bring awareness to humanitarian, social, and environmental injustices by championing your culture, history, people of color, immigrants, and marginalized people. Why do you feel that you need to be their hero?
I don't want to be a hero in any of this. I want to bring awareness. It's not about me. It's about them. It's a gift I have. A gift I have. The gift of art. I have over so many years. I have honed and worked at, and still keep doing. I still don't think I am a great artist by any means. However, I do think that it's important to speak and to use whatever voice you have as a creative person. And even if you're not creative, you should speak out against injustices when you see it. We're all human beings, and we all deserve to support each other and back each other up and show support. And so, yeah, I'm not here to be a hero to anyone, but rather to speak to the cause and to elevate, those amazing people who have come before us and have done great things for our communities and our people, and also to bring awareness to anyone who's being mistreated in the world. Yeah.
You have been an art teacher for 13 plus years in Minnesota. What has that experience been like for you?
Teaching art is one of the most amazing things I think that anyone can do. As many teachers in Belize know, the pay is terrible and the hours are long, and but they do it because they love the children, and they want to see the next generation succeed, and they want to see them progress and become great human beings. And that's my take on being an art teacher, is to use my skills and my knowledge to show students that you can use your creativity and you can hone them and build your skills and be an artist, and use that to speak whatever whatever it is you want to say about what you're seeing in the world.
On the screen we see an image of Mujer Negra. Tell us a little bit about who she is.
Okay, so that was a series for African American Month also, and I wanted to highlight African women, but I also wanted to use poetry of Caribbean and Latino, Afro-Latino poets in the art. So in their hair, I put quotes or small, pieces of their poetry that I really enjoyed, and I turned that into hair. And that's another series that I've done. And the colors derived from pressing watercolor between glass and then drawing with a dry erase marker, the portraits. And that poem is by a Cuban poet called Morejon. And just a beautiful, incredibly empowering poem about what it means to be a Black woman, Afro-Black woman in Cuba, and in Latin America. And I thought it was so appropriate and so beautiful, and I wanted to honor that.
In Belize, artists have a difficult time surviving an art alone. Do you think that you can live only off art, and what do you do with the art that you create?
Right. So I personally am not living off of art alone. You know, I have a full-time job as an educator, and I have part-time jobs as an art educator as well. So I teach summer classes, night classes, workshops on photography and graphic design and painting, and I also do freelance photography. So if you're passionate about your art, you know, you just have to keep doing it because. Again, it is really tough to live off of art. I work in my studio that's 6 feet by 8 feet, where I create all my work, and I have everything, you know, that I love, in my house here, and my family's here, and it's a great place to work, and you could do it anywhere. You know, to make art, you don't need that much space, you don't need that much materials. You know, I do work with salt, right? So whatever you can get your hands on to be a creative person, I think you should take that challenge and really express yourself.
You say that you are also an educator, but you teach a special group of children. Tell us exactly what you do.
Yes. So my title is an intervention specialist, and I work for the St. Paul School District, and I work at a school called Paul and Sheila Wellston Elementary. And my job is to work with students with behavioral issues. So, back in the day, I still remember being lashed at the Mount Carmel and even Sacred Heart elementary schools by our principals. And that kind of punitive treatment of students just is not okay, because we didn't learn anything. You know, the only thing that taught me was to hit and be violent. And so an intervention specialist, what he does, or what I do, is to try to talk to the students, listen them out, listen to them and see what their issues are and what's causing them to behave a certain way, and to treat them like human beings and with dignity, and they're kids, and a lot of the times they themselves don't know what's going on in their heads and why they're behaving the way they are. And it's an approach, a restorative approach to dealing with behavioral issues. And it has taught me so much about myself, and more, as much as it has taught me about how to work with people. And so that's my primary job, is to diffuse situations with fighting students, or students having issues in the classroom with the teachers. And I've done that throughout the district in high schools and elementary schools, and really, really tough schools as well. And it's good work, because I'm out there showing kids and students that we can solve our issues without resorting to violence and harm.
What is one of the biggest rewards that you get from that kind of work?
I think the reward comes from, helping and being there for someone, especially when they are at their most vulnerable, and being able to walk them through those moments.
For a very long time, your art was, and I'll use the words loosely, was purely for fun. Just because you liked it, you were doing it. There may be a lot of people out there that are faced with the same challenges that you were faced with then, except you had the support and the belief of your mother. For somebody that does not even have that, what would you say to him or her?
I say, first of all, you have to believe in yourself. You have to believe that what it is that you're doing is for you. You cannot depend on what other people think about what you're creating. And when I say creating, I mean the whole spectrum of arts, right? If you are a singer and you like to sing, don't let anyone tell you that you shouldn't, right? If you're a poet and you like to write and express yourself like that, don't let anyone tell you that you can't. You have to believe in yourself. If you don't believe in yourself, then you're not ever going to be what it is you want to be. And to all those artists who don't have that support, I support you. I got your back. You know what I mean? And that's one person. But the only person that you really need to support you is yourself. and you need. Then you need to believe. You need to believe in yourself. You need that. That is the most important thing. It's having trust in yourself and believing that, you know what I'm doing, even if it's a pretty picture. It doesn't have to be social imagery, social justice artwork. You know, if you like painting, the beautiful Belize landscapes and the Maya ruins, and I still do that. One of the largest paintings in my house is of the Maya mountains, and at the top is, Sunantunich, which is, it was the icon that I saw every morning when I woke up, and it was part of my life every single day I lived in Benque Viejo del Carmen, because you can see it pretty much from anywhere. So it doesn't matter what type of art you make, or where you are in your art career or the art process. I encourage you, I support you to just keep doing it, and don't give up. Don't give up. Whatever people tell you, that means nothing, right? You need to learn that you need to trust yourself and you need to believe in you.
You know, some people may say, well, that's just one person. But honestly, I'm not an artist, and I appreciate you saying that, because sometimes that's all the people need to hear. This man doesn't even know me, and he believes that I'm good enough. So I say thank you on behalf of all the people that heard that just now. Without the internet, I would never have known, chances are, I would never have known of Cadex. How has the internet changed the life of not only you as an artist, but artists in general?
It's amazing. Technology is moving so fast, and we have to use it for good as well, right? We have the internet, and there's so many beautiful things and also some terrible things that we have access to. Not only that, but we have access to so much information. We have access to so many points of views. We have access to so much history. If it wasn't for the internet, I wouldn't know who half of the people I paint were. So I do my research and I find out about these things that they're doing, and I'm all for it. I'm all for using technology to promote yourself, using technology to do research. And on that specific note on technology, I think that we also have to start thinking about providing access to technology to all of our students in Belize, because a lot of our students right now, especially when COVID came, did not have access to the educational system, and that's because they didn't have access to internet. They didn't have access to any technology to get through. They didn't have computers at home, and that's one of the things that we need to start investing is in access to information, and that access comes from being able to get internet and getting the right technology so that we can communicate.
My final question for today. This has been a very challenging time. I mean, COVID, and then just everything else that came along with that. What is the biggest lesson that you have learned during this time?
What I've learned is that we need absolute, clear, and transparent information from our officials. They need to be able to tell us the truth without any fear, because, and we still don't know all of the information, right? But I think that the people acted, they saw what was happening, and they decided we need to take care of each other, we need to take action. And I think that was the important thing, because I've been communicating with my family in Belize during the COVID pandemic. And, what I was seeing here was still not happening in Belize. And I was telling them, hey, this is coming. This is dangerous. This affects all of us. Please take shelter, take care of yourselves, start, doing what you need to do, getting your mask, listen to the health officials, listen to the professionals, because you have health officials and you have politicians. And politicians have a whole different message they need to send. And I think that that's one of the lessons that we need to pay attention to, is we need transparent information. We need actual information from our officials to make sure that our communities are protected and that we're safe.
Alex, I say it was definitely a pleasure chatting with you this morning. Any final words?
I love Belizeans. I love being from Belize. I love my people. Saludos a todos mis hermanos y hermanas, tías, tíos, vecinos, vecinas, mi pueblo de Benque Viejo y todo Belice. Les amo de todo corazón. Beliceño 100%, benqueño para siempre.
No, I love it. Again, Cadex, I say thank you.